Well, guys, that was awesome. I have no words to say about that hangout. It was much better than I expected, because actually they got a dialogue on a very specific point that I kept going back and forth for, what, a half hour, I guess, on a single point. That's unusual in a debate, because usually people like to get scalloped, right? Oh, hang on, let me get rid of that video. So anyways, we're gonna have a little after show about the Kent Hovind King Crocoduck debate. It is open to anybody by request. I am not doing it with the 25-man hangout for reasons. I am limiting it to a 10-man hangout for reasons. But if you want in, we'll definitely get you in. Just say link, and it'll be on a first come first serve. And if I validate who you are, yes, microblog, but Microblog, you can definitely join. I'm adding you now. But I got General Han Solo in here, and I got Dragnot. They were both listening. So I'm going to ask Dragnot first. What do you think? Man, what do you think? I mean,
I lost a great number of brain cells from that. That was painful. Wow, I can't, I want to wait, and I want to really get into it, but I want to wait for King Crocoduck to come in, because I haven't spoken to him in, I think, years. It's just, it amazes me how far he's come since the last time I've spoken to him, and how little progress Ken Hovind has made, because he, even in his semi-intro rebuttal type thing that he was doing, he was still pulling these whole, well, this is this kind of animal, and this is a pine cone or a pine tree, the same shit that he pulled with Fiona Robertson, which she's a fucking Christian. She's like, she has a PhD in microbiology. She's not a fucking idiot, right? Don't insult her intelligence by doing stuff like that. And then here he is again, trying to insult all of our intelligences by pulling this shtick. So I just, for the life of me, it makes me wonder why certain Christians, definitely not all, it's just certain Christians don't see through this.
yeah, and it's kind of funny is because last time I had talked to Kent Hovind, it was on kinds and species and things like that. Explain to him that dogs don't all of a sudden have non-dogs. They will never have non-dogs. I've explained this to him. God knows how many people have explained this to him over the years. I think at this point, he's just deliberately obtuse about it. And he keeps trying to bring it back. And I like the fact that King Crocoduck did say, look, this has nothing to do with evolution, what we're talking about right now. It was my fault. I got some wires crossed about the hangout topic, which was fine. No big deal. We got on track. But since they were talking about Hubble's constant and things relating to dark energy and expansion of the universe, that has nothing to do whatsoever with biology. I mean, go ask Fiona about quantum equations and tensor equations like that. She's a brilliant biologist, but I don't think she probably has an expertise in quantum mechanics, right?
Right.
They're just completely different thing.
But see, Hovind likes to fucking jump ship. Oh, that's broadcast EO here. Hovind likes to, well, not necessarily jump ship. He likes to change gears. Excuse me, I got my fucking sayings mixed up. He likes to change gears, and so he'll start off with the evolution thing, and then you see him kind of sneak in chemical evolution, and then he'll kind of somewhat reference modern synthesis, and then he'll go to like evolution of cosmology and that sort of thing. And I'm glad King Crocoduck kind of pinned him down like early on and go, okay, what exactly are you talking about? Because just because you use the word evolution doesn't mean that it's the same thing in each and every topic. I mean, hell, Pokemon uses the word evolution and they fuck it up. So it's not something that you can just throw out there and go, oh, well, look at all the problems here, because that, again, that's a part of his shtick.
Yeah, I thought Casey did a really brilliant job of pointing out is, look at, there's no way you can get around this problem. The objects are 13.8 billion light years away. Actually, they're much further because they're receding, which again depends on what you mean by the observable universe. The observable universe could be like 93 billion light years away, but things have receded since the time the light has left. They're moving further away from us. But I like the fact that he explained that, look, if his hypothesis was true, that somehow these stars existed, poof, there, Adam and Eve saw them, receded to the distance they are, we would never still be seeing them if they traveled at that fast speed. The light would have never reached us. His hypothesis doesn't work. And then, did you guys catch something that I don't think I've heard Hovind really say before? He said, he basically invoked last Thursdayism, or the Omphalos hypothesis, that things could have been created with the appearance of age. And that, to me, strikes me as strange, because Hovind was one of those guys that always said, look at creation science, we can use science. We don't need to invoke a miracle. We don't even need to invoke what's called a singularity. That's what the term that Gentry uses for polonium halos. We can use actual science for it. Well, Casey used actual science, and it doesn't work for Hovind's thing. For Hovind's hypothesis to be true, one of two things has to happen. The speed of light has to be not changed, or things can go faster than the speed of light. That's the only two things I can think of. General, you're the physicist in the room. Let me ask you, and you know a lot about this topic. According to Hubble's equations, according to everything we know about space-time and Minkowski space, is there anything other than the light speed changing or something going faster than the speed of light that allows something so far away for us to still be able to see it outside of our observable event horizon? Or you can just stay muted, General, and totally ignore me like you usually do. All right, he might be FK. Did anybody else catch that question? Anybody wants to respond to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that should be the go-to answer for a creationist, rather than trying to somehow make the laws of physics conform to a 6,000-year-old, like how it could possibly happen in 6,000 years. Why not just say that 6,000 years ago, the universe was made to look, it was created to look old, and these stars were already this far apart, and light was already on its path.
Wouldn't it be testable? Would it?
Well, I mean, I don't think any of the creation stuff is testable.
Well, that's true.
What's testable? I mean, it's.
Well, it's not. But
because it's just sort of a dead end to try to argue that the laws of physics somehow can possibly make the stars appear as far away as they are, within 6,000 years or whatever. So.
Yeah, but Casey, I already invited you. You should already have the link. Let me add you again real quick. That should give you the link. If you don't, well, let me try giving the link different ways too. Try to get in that way real quick. And unless if you can't talk, then don't join, because I'm sure this is going to be full. So I don't want just packing pianists. If you can't talk, then okay. So, anyways, yeah, I think Casey pointed out the fact that Hovind, without invoking some kind of special creation, some kind of miracle, it doesn't work. And I think that's what he was going for, that you have to get out of the realm of science to explain these things. And Kent's whole shtick the last God knows how many decades was, we can explain these things with science. Well, clearly he couldn't. I think Casey nailed him to the wall on that, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he actually. Oh, yeah. He confused dark matter and dark energy, which is kind of a very elementary mistake.
I think a lot of people do that, though.
Yeah, but not someone that specializes in his side of argumentation.
Well, and somebody that supposedly taught physics also. Remember, he did say that.
That's what scares me. The fact that he taught children really scares me.
Do we know that for a fact he was a science teacher, though?
No, he wasn't a science teacher. I'll explain in a second. Nobody else come in until we get
taught children.
KC, I just sent you a link via Twitter. Nobody else come in until I get KC in here. If you would hold off. Yeah, what he did was he taught in various Bible studies, various Baptist churches, creation science.
Yeah, that doesn't really count, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't. Mike, can I have you drop for KC real quick, Mike?
That's basically Sunday school we're talking, right? Like science Sunday school, basically. Right.
Yeah, that's all it was. I mean, okay. I compare it this way. Look, I used to tutor my daughter in math, right? I used to tutor some other people in math years ago, actually, when I was okay at math. Does that make me a math teacher? No. If I explain to my daughter, things about English, does that make an English teacher? God, no. You don't want me as an English teacher. But this is the type of things that he's saying that he taught physics. Well, he never taught physics. He also claimed he taught biology. He never taught biology. He's also claimed he's taught math and all these other subjects. He has no teaching credentials.
Right.
He has a PhD in something, though, right?
Honored. It's
honorary.
Oh
no, I had honorary.
Right.
Sure.
He has a dissertation. You're right. You can see it online. He has. Yeah, it starts with "Hello, my name is Ken Hovind."
No, his total amount of credited colleges education is about 2 years with a community college.
So he has as much. He actually has a little less education than I do. Wow.
Well, we don't know how much education you have, but
I am a super genius, sir.
Okay.
Is Casey having problems getting in? I sent it to him via Twitter, so.
Nope, there he is.
There he is.
There we go.
There he is. Okay,
I only
there
have
he
like,
is.
Steve. I only have like 15 minutes. I don't want to derail the topic or anything like that. But can I make a small suggestion?
By all means.
If you ever have a debate like this again, maybe like bring in like one or two like usuals that you have, or people that you know to come in and maybe ask a couple questions.
Yeah, this was the first of their debates, I guess. I only had like what, about 20 minutes notice on this.
Mhm. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I do. Yeah. No. Thank you for actually thinking of my channel to put it on. I'm greatly appreciative of that. But I had to throw it together really fast. I don't think Kent and Casey probably wanted that kind of format at this particular junction. I could be wrong, but at some point that would be amazing. To have a Q&A session between the two. Yeah, would that be cool?
That would be really cool.
Questions from the audience would be awesome.
Well, if somebody could come in and ask a question or two, yeah, that'd be great. And yeah.
Yeah, and I would have loved to have been able to ask questions. Obviously, I had to maintain more of a neutral stance, but I wanted to clarify a few things with Ken, especially when he claimed that the universe had appearance with age, because I don't think I've ever really heard him say that before.
Yeah, I wanted to ask him how many cocks he sucked in prison.
Well, I'm not. Well, we're not going to be derogatory when they're having a debate, right? But I don't think that he adequately explained by any means how his theory or hypothesis would work using science. I mean, Casey, you addressed the issue using physics, and you explained very distinctly that the only way that these things could be otherwise, if things travel faster than the speed of light, or light speed is changed, basically, would be the only thing I can think of that would make a star appear to us that's so far away, right? I mean, with this Adam and Eve creating, the stars on the fourth day. Do you think that he even attempted to use science to explain away that small little problem?
I think he tried at some points, but he kind of gave up when he saw it wasn't going to work.
He knew he was outmatched, clearly.
What killed me is that, like, half of not even half, 3/4 of the exchange, mind you, I'm listening while I'm taking a bath, and he is just fucking up physics so bad that you're having to teach him physics and then also respond to the straw man that he made of your arguments. And it's just that's what really gets me in a lot of these conversations. And then the fact that he has the nerve to start to condescend. Well, you're just not getting it. It's like, wait, hold on, motherfucker. I'm not the one being taught fucking what a light year is in the middle of the conversation.
Oh, it was painful. I mean, didn't he say something along the lines of, well, nobody gets this. This doesn't. Nobody thinks this makes sense. And I'm like, it makes sense to me. I'm a layperson.
Yeah. He tried to appeal to the audience and make them like, well, explain this in line by line so the audience can. Hold on, don't blame the audience because you don't understand, you asshole.
Yeah,
we also suggested to put it up to a vote at some point, which is kind of a
I tried to do that.
He didn't want my live feed voting.
No. I think the live feed might actually be pretty unique in that where they would actually understand relativity and stuff. So he wouldn't have won that particular vote.
True.
I don't think.
Although we did have a lot of flat earthers in the chat too.
Oh, we had a handful. Yeah.
We know Mr. Intelligent Design understands these things quite well, doesn't he?
I don't know.
Sorry.
Oh
my God, I choked. Sorry, I can't believe I actually said that. I apologize. Yeah.
Steve, go wash yourself.
Steve, can I ask Casey a taxonomy
by
question?
By all means.
So, Casey, when he was discussing kinds and he was condescending to you about the 5-year-old test, it's really interesting. I wanted to scream at him, what's a hyena? What kind is that? I guarantee he wouldn't recognize it as a feliform. And I just learned that termites, everyone thinks termites are like ants, big brothers. They're actually distantly related to ants, and termites are more close related to bees and wasps. My point is we could make a list of 100 of these things where his 5-year-old test for kinds would fail miserably. And I know it
would be fun to fuck with him like that. I'm not gonna lie.
I would bring up monotremes. That's my go-to. Every time I hear the word kinds, I bring up monotremes.
What kind is like a raccoon or a ferret?
I asked Ray Comfort that very question once. I asked him what kind does a raccoon belong to. He said it's his own kind.
Raccoon kind.
Well,
yeah, great.
Everything is own kind. So that explains my diversifications. Great.
What about platypus? What about the platypus? Which kind is that?
It's a monotreme kind.
That's an evolutionist's worst nightmare, dude.
Platypus is evidence that God doesn't love us.
Well, before you came in, Casey, I was saying that it was so funny because he kept on saying stuff that he always parrots. The same mantras. Oh, dogs can't produce non-dogs. And the very last time I had Kent, I spoke to Kent. It was on this very thing. Explain to him that dog populations will always have dog populations. He's been explained to it by everybody under the sun, and I think at this point he's just deliberately obtuse. I really do. I think that he probably does understand it. He doesn't care.
No.
Yeah, I didn't mean to make any insinuations when I said the word flaccid. A lot of people.
I caught that one great. This is the internet. What did
I don't regret
expect?
it.
Yeah. No regrets.
Oh, Casey, I wanted to comment. Because I've been watching your channel for years now, and you had a period where you were debating this religious guy on 3rd Street in Santa Monica.
Mm-hmm.
And I live in LA, and I have debated that guy multiple times too. That guy is absolutely insufferable.
Yeah, Lewis, he's a piece of shit. Yeah.
It seems like you got kind of a reputation. It seems like you got a reputation with him though, because it seemed like at some point he kind of knew you and you would come around. I guess you had multiple discourses with the dude.
Yeah. Did you watch my video? Wait. Oh, hold on. When was the last time you talked to him?
Oh God, it was years ago. I don't think he's even there anymore.
Yeah, I think
it must have been like in the late 2000s or something when I talked to him.
Yeah. He's since moved on to like Texas or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't seen him
Texas,
anytime
that's where I'm at.
recently.
His friends are in Santa Monica still, but they're less dickish. They're just creationists. They're ordinary dumb people, but nice dumb people.
There's another guy that goes there and shuts up the posters about evolution is a lie and all this stuff. But yeah, he was the one that was like militant about it. I mean, he was very aggressive.
Yeah.
Well, if you find out if he's anywhere near El Paso, that's where I live, please let me know. I would love to find him.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about. Well, I was talking to, I'll say, somebody on Skype about this, and I was thinking about getting into street epistemology myself, actually, over in the Houston area, because I've been binging on a lot of those videos. But Nestle wanted to say, I wanted to address something with ducks and crocs. They do have a common ancestor, but never was there a duck that turned into a non-duck. Both are archosaurs, and their common ancestor was something like Euparkeria. So
yep,
that is from Nestle. Thank you, Nestle.
I wanted to make the point. He was in prison for a decade. It seems like he didn't crack a single book open in all that time. For him to conflate dark matter and dark energy is really sad.
He did open one book.
Yeah, he did open one book.
I think we all know what book that is. Yeah.
Book of Mormon.
Yeah.
Actually, he probably opened 2 books: the Bible and a small pamphlet on anal health.
So what do you think? Yeah. What do you think Hovind's takeaway was? What do you think he's going to be saying to his clan over there? And I should say, it's
but he taught KC physics. I guarantee you, in some way, shape, or form.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right.
I've been pwned it on the internets.
You've been pwned on the internet.
One of my favorite things about
crack a book, Casey,
about Kent Hovind is just. He can just talk so fast and come up with stuff on the top of his head so quickly. I mean, he should have been an auctioneer or something. And if you watch some of the debates with him against professors that are clearly intelligent, but they're not used to debating, he just runs them into the ground because it's like they're going 1/4 the speed.
Well, he's a snake oil salesman, and he gets a lot of the things. I mean, Dwayne Gish was the same way, right? I mean, that's why we got the Gish Gallop. They know how to shotgun this stuff, and that's why I really love the fact that Casey was able to stay with pinpoint laser accuracy on something. It maybe even 2 focus on it. I would have liked to got the other 4 out of the 5 things, but I mean, he wasn't going to let this go. And the fact that Hovind had no explanation to other than say, hey, KC, well, the Bible's true and you're going to hell kind of thing. Well, at that point, you would know he pretty well lost.
You want to know something funny? We actually planned this debate to be 2 hours. And at about the 1 hour, 20 minute, when I got done telling him about how, I said something along the lines of the moment God pulls this thing at faster than the speed of light, that's it. It's out of our event horizon. And Hovind looked at his watch and he's like, yeah, I think we're about done. We're getting close to finish. This was at that 1 hour 20 mark.
Well, I mean, how does he explain it? What math does he use to say, okay, look, I got a star now that's outside my observable event horizon. So according to relativity, we can never, ever, ever, ever see any light from that star again. It's gone. It's outside of our ability to see. It's receding away from us faster than the light is trying to reach us. how does that work in the young Earth creationist?
Fucking magic.
Yeah, I was about to say that. But it's magic. I ain't got
it. That's really what it is, though. It's fucking magic. There's no other way to describe it because he couldn't do it using physics or science.
Can you guys hear me?
Right.
Now
that's why he appeals to the therefore God fallacy.
Yep.
I do apologize
hear me?
for not having my larger room. It's just the technical reasons I didn't do the larger room, so we're just gonna have to like make do.
Smaller rooms are better anyway, Steve. It gets too
Yeah, I
noisy in the
know,
large-
and the audio is better, by the way.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, go ahead, General.
Yeah, I was suspecting that Ken Hovind was using John Hartnett's 5D expanding universe paper. I don't know, Casey, if you're familiar with that.
With what?
I am, because you rammed it down my throat enough times.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you repeat?
So John Hartnett is a research physicist. Well, he was in Western Australia. Now he's in Adelaide, dealing with ultra cool crystals, and he has proposed what he calls a 5D symmetrically expanding universe, and he's posted this paper on creation.com. And because when Ken said that the Earth starts first, and then you have this, the fabric of space-time just expanding out along with everything else, regardless of the positioning, because you're getting to the point. But let's just say they're X distance away, and give or take even 24 hours. Like if you're talking about, or not only that, 2-3 days, because day 4 apparently they appear, and then day 6 Adam and Eve are meant to see them. So you're talking at least 2 days. But regardless, from that moment on, when they reach the 13.8 billion year mark, you're talking about a velocity well past the speed of light that they have to transition. Yeah. And so John Hartnett basically took Russell Humphrey's white hole cosmology, which has been debunked, tweaked it a little bit, and so yeah, I'll send you the paper in the side chat. You can look at the math he's proposed in that. But I think Kent, because I've never heard Kent use an argument before, and I'm very familiar with John Hartnett's arguments, because I was a student in the university that he was teaching in. So him and I used to have a lot of discussions on it. Yeah.
Kent would never understand anything like that, though. I mean, that's what the only thing about the debate I wish they would have got in depth into. I would have been fascinated by it, but I know Kent would have been lost. If Casey would have gone into explaining, okay, these are the equations we do use. This is what a matrix equation is. This is the field of equations. This is Hilbert space and all that stuff. I would have been thrilled to have that kind of discussion. But Aaron Ross calling Dragnaut. By the way, I think Aaron was going to watch it, but he is busy. But he may have actually watched the debate, Casey. By the way, we did let Aaron know.
Oh, cool. Limit, I want to chat with him.
So if he can, if Aaron wants to drop in, then yeah, he's obviously more than welcome to. We love it when Aaron drops in.
Just quickly, Casey, if you can provide a refutation on this, that would be excellent. Because John Hartnett seems to be proposing an astrophysicist who happens to be Jewish, Moshe Carmeli, I think his name is, suggesting that everything that we currently know in the Lambda-CDM model is just based on assumptions and nothing more. So if you can go through that, I think that would be really good.
I'll check it out. Does it rail against the Copernican principle or anything like that, or? Because I have heard the argument. No. Okay.
But that's actually that's actually a really good point, because are you referring to like a heliocentric context? Like, is that what you're getting at?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I had this creationist pester me once. His name was Oucher Owl, and he was telling.
Oh my God, Oucher Owl, really?
Yeah.
We know Oucher Owl, by the way. Yeah. Sadly.
Well, he insisted that the universe was not actually homogeneous. That this was just evolutionary bias. This was the Copernican principle. He wasn't happy about it, and I made a whole video responding to Russell Humphreys, who he propped up as his champion.
Oh, I do remember you mentioning him in a video, Oucher Owl, in a video. Yeah, yeah, he's a little bit of a lunatic.
Just a little.
Tiny bit.
Well, I think to accept certain things like young Earth creationism and especially flat Earth, I think you've got to be a little bit unhinged in some ways. It's a nonsensical position to take. It's an irrational position to take, regardless of anybody's theology. I mean, we have multiple theists in here right now, very, very devout Christians, who fully accept science, fully accept things like evolutionary theory, Big Bang cosmology. They recognize that this stuff is real, and then they believe that God just happened to do it all the way. I have no argument about that. That's that's a fine position for me. I don't care.
Yeah, I work with theists in my job as well. Actually during when Hovind called me and he asked me about my job, he's like, "Are they going to fire you from the university if I convert you if you become a young Earth creationist?" I'm like, "Bro, there's like nothing in my contract that says anything like that. I just have to be competent at my job." And he sounded a little bit disappointed, but
Okay. See, Nestle wants to ask you, I've seen that the Schwarzschild radius of the mass of the observable universe is 13.8 billion light years. Could this be another way to calculate the age of the universe?
That what?
He says, I have seen that the Schwarzschild radius of the mass of the observable universe is 13.8 billion light years. Could this be another way to calculate the age of the universe?
When I think Schwarzschild radius,
I'm not sure that works for the Schwarzschild radius.
Yeah, I'm thinking black hole when I hear that. But
we are in a side of a black hole if the observable red horizon is the horizon, right?
Yeah. Let me think about that. Well, I as I said to Kent, if the universe is flat, then the universe is 13.8 billion light years in radius. But you have to look at the Friedman equations, and you have to look at what's dominating the universe. Is it radiation dominated? Is it matter dominated? Is it open? Is it closed? What's the curvature? Is it positive or negative? All of these things together will determine the diameter of the universe and also the age of the universe. You get different values based on what kind of what the features of the universe are.
No, I thought they determined the local geometry is flat.
Yeah, the local. You can get a lot of different possible things from the Friedman equation, including a flat universe. Experimentally, though, from like WMAP and Kobe and Planck, we get a almost flat thing that's a little bit slightly open, something closer to a de Sitter geometry. But don't quote me on that. It's not my field anymore.
Well, I really wish, Kent would have at least tried to make his position more scientific. I think that during the debate, he came across as a much greater religious zealot than somebody who was trying to give a scientific argumentation. Because usually when he goes into these debates, he wants to debate scientific people. And yet here's somebody like yourself who's very much into science, and he kept bringing it back to, the Bible's true, you're going to go to hell if you don't believe it kind of stuff. I thought that was kind of strange.
And I was just telling him, I don't give a shit, man. That's not what I'm here to talk about.
I don't see how it's even relevant.
Well, if I could just go into it for 1 second. I thought it was interesting when he was talking about moving so you're talking about how, either the galaxies, like God, picked up the galaxy and put it 13.8 billion light years away, in which case the galaxy is violating the speed of light, or the space expands, in which case the galaxy isn't technically moving in that same way. It's moving out there, but then light is coming to meet us faster than light. So either way, you violate some law of physics, which is just wow.
Well, I was in the group chat. I was mentioning something like the Accurately metric, which is the warp mechanism they're trying to work out, where things can quote unquote faster than the speed of light, but they're not actually traveling faster than the speed of light. It's just that the space time is going faster than the speed of light, because that's allowed to, right? It doesn't have any mass. It's allowed to go.
Yeah.
Faster. So he doesn't understand that. He thinks that if something's riding that wave, that crest of the wave, he doesn't realize that it's space-time expanding, not the object moving. In reference to the object itself, it can never go faster than c. That's a fundamental tenet in relativity.
Yeah, that's why I brought up the balloon thing.
Yeah, bingo.
Flaccid balloon.
Yeah, it's
that's
relatively in general. It's difficult to understand the concept of the space of basically distance between two objects increasing, but without those objects moving. It's a bit of a difficult concept.
But he's been explaining.
But if you understand it, then it's not too hard once you get it.
I wonder if Hovind is just purposely dense.
Well,
I would debate the purposeful.
Well, I mean, when somebody's explained this thing so many times, something has to rub off. He at least has to know why his arguments are bad.
Sorry, but the definition of being dense is not getting fixed. So, like, it doesn't matter how many times you explain someone who's dense something, that doesn't necessarily mean they will at some point get it because they're dense. So by definition, they won't get it.
Yeah, that's true. But for somebody to say something though, like, oh, well, this is just nobody understands this. This doesn't make any sense. He was basically implying KC was just making shit up as he went along. Did you think that way too? That's what he was implying?
I think he was just saying, he was just using weasel words to try to maybe misdirect me, which was not going to happen. I'm very focused. Yeah, no, you stayed very focused, which was good. I'd like to see what specifically you might talk about next time. What was the other four? Can you repeat you had one of the 5 things. What are the other 4 things you wanted to bring up? Okay, so the 5 things in total were the age of the universe, the Big Bang Theory, stellar evolution, let me think, the speed of light, and one other thing. Let me check the email really quick. I was kind of surprised you didn't talk more about the speed of light. In one of your videos, I know, I watch your stuff. Whatever, I have no life. No, I love your stuff. One of your videos you had mentioned, that there's an equation that most of us are familiar with that relates C to the electromagnetic constants. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and so if you start messing around with some of these fundamental constants, especially any of the Planck constants, you change the fine structure constant, you change light speed, you start messing with the magnetic instance of things, then all of a sudden, or I shouldn't say instance, that's something else, but magnetic constants. You can't overcome a Coulomb barrier. You start losing the ability to form atoms. All this stuff just goes to shit. Yeah. I would like to have Hovind explain in his way of explaining why the universe is old. It looks old and is young. How that doesn't happen? How the universe doesn't fall apart? I was thinking exactly of that when I was writing the introduction, and I introduced Hovinding. I was anticipating that particular base, so I covered it.
And you were right.
Yeah. Oh, you did. You nailed that one.
Yeah.
He didn't really get much into that. I thought he was going to say that the speed of light may have changed, and I would have.
Well, he used to have that argument that you can slow the speed of light down through a medium, therefore the speed of light is not constant.
He seems to have stopped after my video. Do you think did he watch it? Maybe in preparation for the debate, possibly. Yeah, slowing down light has nothing to do with it making something go faster than C. And even still, in his creationist handbook, the scientist that he quotes was quoted in a popular science article saying that they had made something go 300 times faster than the speed of light. And of course, they're just talking about the wavefront. They're talking about the part of the wave that actually can go faster than the speed of light has no mass to it. And that's predicted by general relativity. But of course, Hovind says, oh, look, they've already violated that. Things go faster than the speed of light. Well, no, the scientist said, no, that's not what they meant by that. It just means that the part of the wave, I think is the leading edge, can go faster than the speed of light, but matter never goes faster than the speed of light. And he never corrected it. Yeah.
Well, in relation to that, when you were talking about the expanding effect of dark energy, if I'm understanding it correctly, locally to the space-time, nothing's moving faster than the speed of light, but obviously the space in between is allowing it to change. So it gives you both appearances of moving faster than the light and not moving at the same time, which is why a lot of people have a difficulty understanding the concept.
Yeah, the balloon analogy I think is very helpful because if you draw 3 points, 2 of the points are closer to each other and one of them is a bit farther away. And you start blowing up the balloon. The 2 points that are close to each other are moving away from each other, but they're moving away from each other at a rate that's slower than the point that's farther away from the 2. And if you extend this analogy to what's going on with the universe, you'll see that the more distant points in space are the ones that are receding faster due to the expansion, and the more local points in space are receding more slowly.
And that's something we would predict if the model holds true, correct? Mm-hmm.
Isn't there also the fact physics really isn't my area. But isn't there also the fact that things that are closer together will be gravitationally attracted to each other, which will counteract the expansion locally?
Sorry?
Like the reason we might not be moving. There might be created new space between us and something else, but because we're close enough together to basically attract each other with gravity, that counteracts it. Isn't that also a factor?
Yeah, so like with the case of like with the Andromeda Galaxy, the Large Magellanic Cloud, and the Small Magellanic Cloud, those galaxies are blue shifted instead of red shifted. That's because yeah, they're close enough to us for the gravity to overcome the dark energy.
Yeah, Andromeda will be merging with us at some point in the future, will it not?
It'll be a very happy marriage.
The consequence of that, which Lawrence Krauss always brings up in his lectures, is that in the far, far future civilizations will basically only see, ones that are, within our galaxy, that they'll only see, this small cluster, and everything else will be beyond their event horizon. So they won't know, they won't be able to find the age of the universe. They won't know that there was ever anything beyond there. Everything will have gone beyond their event horizon, which is kind of, he's saying we're in a unique period of time in the age of the universe that we can actually see this stuff and see the origins of the universe. But eventually, future civilizations won't have that opportunity.
Yeah, it's gonna be redshifted into oblivion.
And some of
the TARDIS go back in time and observe it.
And some of the newer technology we're putting up there allows us to peer deeper, towards the actual, the initial event. Now, obviously, we can never reach that point. I think before the recombination period, what is it, 200,000 years after the initial, burst, it's all opaque anyway, so you can't see past that point. But I think that the newer telescopes out there are supposedly getting to the resolution where they can actually peer to that point where the photons just initially left to form the CMB, if I'm not mistaken, right, Casey?
Yeah. By the way, the fifth topic I just looked at it's radiometric dating.
See, I would have loved that one because that's when I nailed him on. That's when I nailed him on hard.
I had this great argument lined up. I was working on it all day yesterday doing the calculations, and I got to something like, in order to make the model work, if you consider the terrestrial radiation and its contribution to the background radiation, in order for the creationist model to work with the decay rates that they need, we should all be receiving something like 30 sieverts of radiation every week.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, well,
explain to an idiot how bad that is.
You say every week, but I'm not sure we would last a week.
No, we would. Yeah, the cockroaches would inherit the Earth.
Yeah, I see. When I went through nuke school, we didn't use sieverts. We used the old-fashioned REM, but 100 REM is a sievert. And my lifetime exposure was only 600 millirem. Okay, millirem, and I worked right outside the secondary shielding of a 150 megawatt reactor. So 100 REM is a lot. 1,000 REM will kill you. 500 REM, you have about 50-50 shot. So if you're and you said it's how many sieverts?
About 30.
So that's 30,000 REM.
Yeah, something like that.
So it's,
you're screwed.
300 times.
Oh yeah, you're many times over.
You're gonna catch on fire, basically.
I mean, just walk into Chernobyl naked and start doing snow angels.
I think if you got 500 REM, you would probably want to die, even if you might survive it.
Fiona has a video that Japanese physicist that was exposed to lethal doses. How much was that? Do you know?
I can't remember.
I know he lasted a couple of weeks to a couple of
months.
months.
Yeah, so miserable. But they also did a lot of things to keep him alive.
Yeah, well, if you can call what he was going through living.
Well,
oh God!
Technically, he was alive.
Your skin flushes off. Your intestines fell apart.
You're pretty much turning to liquid, and you're experiencing
not a good way to go.
Sorry to bring everybody down on the subject.
That was God's plan.
But it's funny you also mentioned that one of the biggest things that the youngest creationists have a problem with, and it's even on ICR, is the heat problem, right? And so if they posit something like accelerated decay, they have to be able to explain the heat problem. They can't, and they know they can't, and so they say, well, you know what, accelerated decay, but we'll figure out how that works later on. Well, that doesn't do anybody good to say, oh well, that accelerated decay, but we don't know how that actually works.
That's like saying I'm gonna do my homework tomorrow, and that's not the same thing as having done it.
It was due yesterday, bro.
Yeah,
Well, that's like me saying I'll exercise tomorrow, and I just use accelerated exercise to get skinny.
That's why you cannot. Yeah, exactly. You cannot have your opinion first. You cannot have your conclusion, then try and find evidence to support it. That doesn't work that way in science.
Yeah. Listen, I gotta head out in a moment. I gotta take care of something. My coworker's calling, but I enjoyed this very much. Thanks for hosting me, Steve.
Yeah. Hey, let me know when your next one with him is. I usually do things on Friday, so maybe you guys could do something in a week or two. Let me know, and I look forward to see. Yeah, you said you had a video coming out soon. I'm looking forward to that. So you don't trash us too bad. I'm just kidding. But
yeah, next week,
awesome.
hopefully.
We look forward to that.
All right then. Well, take care, everybody.
All right, thanks, Casey. Thanks for joining us.
Have a good one.
Okay, 17 civets, the Japanese. There were 3 workers. One
That's
got
1700 rem.
Yeah, one got 17, one got 10, and one got 3.
That's well. That's
yeah.
A couple of times. That's 2 or 3 times the lethal. I mean, 1,000 dead. You're dead. 100% chance dead at 1,000.
Yeah, it's really only a matter of how long it's gonna take.
Oh yeah.
In Fukushima, they're measuring like 500 plus sieverts per hour.
Well, yeah, in the middle of it.
Yeah, in the core, but.
Well, yeah, most of that radiation, if it's contained, it's not going to get out. Concrete is going to prevent most of that radiation. It's your heat more than anything else.
They got all that water going through there all the time, carrying that stuff out.
Yeah, because you have to maintain a lot of heat dissipation. I mean, that's what is keeping that shit cool. They didn't have a. Did they have a full meltdown or a partial?
No, a complete meltdown.
It was a complete meltdown. So
yeah, I mean that's a loss of containment. So
I mean that's just going to be
Well, the big problem they have is the water table there. They just have this water, and I think they tried to build this ice wall where they froze the ice wall in the ground to try and divert the groundwater that's running through there. But I don't know if they're successful with that. I think they're still leaking a lot of radioactive water that washes through there and goes into the ocean.
Well, it's going to be pretty diluted fairly quickly. The ocean is pretty big.
Yeah, it actually points out that Kent Hovind had said something about the stars were within a couple light days of Earth, and all of a sudden now they're billions and billions of miles away. It's like, or trillions and trillions of miles away, I should say. Billions of light years. I don't see how that works. He doesn't have a model that explains this, and this is what.
Why are some stars like so far away, and some of them are relatively close by comparison? Right? Why is there discrepancies?
He's so audacious to say that he's got the scientific evidence and the Bible is scientifically accurate. Well, you not once did he even give the evidence for the stars that appeared 2 days prior than Adam, and then them being flung out 13 billion light years within the space of 6,000 years. It's just ridiculous.
Well, I think a lot of people caught on to that, except for the people that are watching, his feed. It's like a flat earther thing, right? I mean, the flat earthers hear what they want to hear. They're too stupid to understand basic physics. So anybody that is already, thinking Hovind had won the debate or, made any good points, they're not going to understand the science. And yet all of us who basically have had some experience with physics and science, we know that Casey made perfect sense.
Yeah, simple algebra. Distance equals velocity times time.
Yeah.
Velocity equals distance divided by time.
Yeah, I mean, if it's 13 billion light years away, it takes 13 billion years to get to us. Not hard math. Even I can do that.
Steve, can I make the point, though?
Yeah.
I felt so much sympathy for Casey because he's fighting two things. These concepts are difficult in and of themselves, but he's trying to teach them to someone, let's be charitable, of average IQ. But this person is arguing in bad faith. So it's an insurmountable task, what he was trying to do.
Yeah,
not only that, but the arrogance these people have, like what he said at the end, keep educating yourself and climbing that mountain, I'll meet you at the top.
Yeah, well, that's arrogance.
I wanted to reach through the friggin' phone and smack the shit out of him for that.
Well, that's what we need to keep pointing out, though. I mean, Hovind and Ham and the rest of them, they have no science. And I think Casey did a brilliant job explaining to people that his science is absurd.
Like I've listened to Casey, I think probably about a year or two longer than I have you guys. And back when he did his early videos, even though, you know, how little I know, I was able to understand what he was saying, no problem. And even now, like when I came in and I explained what he was trying to get through, that Kent just refused to understand. What the whole expansion
I mean, with respect to the Doppler shift, and then it's not the velocity that changes, it's the frequency, and the frequency and the wavelengths, they complement each other really, and because v equals f times lambda. So wasn't Kent ever understanding that? Like
no,
he throws out the term Doppler shift, and yet he doesn't understand
he kept
the
on thinking that
relationship
Doppler
between
shift
frequency and wavelengths.
And it's like, no, the frequency is being changed because the wavelength is being elongated.
Yeah, the speed of the object remains constant, but the
there's an inverse relationship between the frequency and the wavelength, but the speed is constant.
Right.
I remember this.
That's his version of a flat earther saying perspective.
Exactly. There you go.
A longer, like a smaller frequency will give off a longer wavelength.
Yeah.
So hence that's why you have a like a boo, like a lowing sound as a car drives away. The same thing applies in this case to light, where Casey was very clearly stating, well, guess what? If you're going to talk about, well, he basically brought up the spectral analysis of the stars, and so therefore you have a limit as to, you know, the range in your equation as to how, with respect to its speed that it's going away at, the constancy of the speed of light, and so on. And Ken Hovind just completely ignored those points.
Yeah, well, eventually you'll be so far away that it'll be so redshifted you can't see it anymore.
I mean, in regards to the speed of the stars going away, you would be out of the bounds of what you would call a redshift.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, you won't even see any photons from it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
No, because they will never reach you.
They'll never reach you because space is expanding in that zone, right? I mean, the stars that are 13 billion light years away, they're receding away from us at a rapid speed, a speed so fast that the light being emitted from them is never ever going to be able to reach us. We can never ever reach it either. It's forever outside our reality. That's why it's the cosmic event horizon.
I just love Casey's response. Ken was like, well, how do you know that? And Casey was like, it's very simple. It's just 1 divided by the Hubble law.
Well, that's another thing that Ken has to do. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Michael.
What I found funny was that, like, Ken's idea that the stars would started close to us and then was rapidly moved away. It almost sounds like some kind of weird creationist hyper Big Bang. Like, that's kind of funny because that's something he denies. He's basically taking he's taken an actual theory and then turned it into, like, bastardized it.
He did it. He basically said, "Look, this is all nonsense. Nobody knows about this stuff." And it's like, it's basic general relativity, guy. Come on, basic stuff here.
Well, at that point, he's just breaking the uniformity and consistency of nature, which.
Oh God, they were talking laws of logic. Oh God.
I mean, once you go down that road, you can explain anything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Duck. Awesome Adventure says a duck can't produce a crocodile. Yeah. Like I said, I had to bite my tongue because God, I wanted to step in so many times. And I know I couldn't, but it's like, Kent, come on. We already explained to you that ducks have ducks. Okay, we all agree upon this. Quit straw manning evolution. It's like, fuck's sake, man. You're like G-Man. By the way, we got plenty of room in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and Pseudo's just kind of taking up space right now. So, Pseudo, say hi. Whatever. So we got room for 2 people. But yeah, that was an awesome little surprise that Casey just tweeted me or whatever it is, tweeted and said, "Hey, Steve, you there? Hey, you wanna host this?"
Is this the first time that they've debated?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because I remember that video going up on Casey's channel about Hovind wanting to debate him, and that was like a year or something. I mean, how long ago was that?
It hasn't been that long ago.
No, but didn't I send Steve? Didn't I send you that video that Kent made last week, saying he wants to debate like Thunderfoot and Aaron Ra and and then I saw this happening. I was like, wow, yes, it's actually happening.
Heavy and Cal link has been sent to you. It's from the internal. You're internalized. On our end, we'll watch this hangout or that hangout later. And he'll decide whether he wants to debate Kent. And I guess it will be on more biology, obviously, because that's, his shtick. But
now, was there some kind of a falling out between him and his son?
Yes.
Because his son was going down sort of the same road. No, I mean, he was going in the pre-supper route, right?
Yeah, it's pre-supper. I've talked to Kent. I mean, I've talked to Eric a few times. Every single time he keeps going to the pre-supper, but like Eric had to go to the hospital for something the other day, and I had tweeted him. I was like, hey, I may not agree with you on everything, but I want to make sure you're. It says like, I hope you're okay. I don't want you to be ill or anything like that. And he was appreciative of that. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, dude, I disagree with you on everything, but I don't want you to be sick and shit, right? So I just was giving him well wishes. So I mean, there's a polite dialogue we have with people that we disagree with.
It's called being a decent human being.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think Eric is a piece of shit when it comes to his science and shit like that, and he keeps pre-supping. He'll come back on here one of these days. I'll get him back on. But yeah, he just pre-sups. He doesn't even talk about the science anymore. Hey, Paul. Apologia. What'd you think? You know what this means, right, Paul?
What's that?
This means that you have to get Ken Ham.
All right. God.
Come on, man. If I can get Hovind and Crocoduck in here debating, you gotta do what it takes to get you and Ken Ham going.
All right, I'll work on that.
I mean, I'll
saying it like they're gonna make a porno.
Paul and Ken make a porno. Boy, that would probably sell too. I don't even mind getting in touch with Ham to set something up. I'll do it. Shit, I don't care.
After that debate with Nye, though, it's kind of like, you really want to hear? I mean, he's got nothing.
I know. Well, Georgina won't come over.
Nothing. He doesn't have anything to gain by debating anyone who's of lower stature, because the only reason he would debate is for his own base and to sell it. Because he just walked around with Bill Nye for a little while, and he's selling that as a DVD. I mean, there's nothing he can sell. I'm not delusional enough to think that I would sell any DVDs for him. So
no money in debating Steve McRae.
No, even though I've discussed things with Hovind many times, but I've actually talked to him on the phone. And was driving in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, "Dude, are you sure you got a hands free? Because I don't want to be like talking to you, and all of a sudden
I have a pretty good idea of why Ken Ham doesn't do it do his stuff in Australia anymore. It's because Australia is like, there's so many fossils, and it's like it's an archaeologist's dream. Like there's so much stuff in Australia that's like obviously older than 6,000 years old. There's these fossils. There's these Aboriginal paintings that are like tens of thousands of years old. It's like a nightmare for creationists. You can't have.
Creationist isn't prevalent.
There's no young Earth. That's the same reason why Ray Comfort's out here, right? I mean, there's not really a big young Earth creationist group for a population in Australia that I don't think.
No, there really is not. Like, it's good though, because they don't try to push it into the country's education curriculum, but. That's just what happens when you live in one of the most archaeological good countries. It's amazing. There's so much like stuff for geology or archaeology or really any old Earth kind of stuff. That's the kind of thing it's all about.
But on a related note, like, how bad is Kent Hovind's ministry doing that he feels like he's got to stick his neck out of turtle shell again to actually debate people?
He took a lot of hit with the whole thing with Theo and that whole fiasco.
It's got to be. My favorite part of that whole debate was when he asked Casey, "Well, how old do you think Adam was when he was created?" And the whole thing's like, that's like asking, you know, what else do you think that Bilbo Baggins had in his pockets? It's like, well, it's an imaginary story. I don't know what to tell you about the stupid question you just asked me.
Would you never hear Hovind ever say something was created with age before? I don't think I've ever heard him say that.
That's just the thing about, he's definitely bleeding because that is new to him. That is
new, isn't it? At least I've never heard him ever say anything. That was a big thing to me, and I wanted to clarify it. Even I was even typing in the group chat, "Hey, I want to clarify this point." I said, "You know what? Never mind. Just continue." But yeah, that was a huge thing to me.
Well, all his other arguments are crap, so he's reaching out to look at other options.
But that negates everything he's ever said about creation science. He's taken it out of the realm of creation science. And I even asked Casey in the group chat, I'm like, "Is that testable, falsifiable of that hypothesis?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, why don't you point that out?" kind of thing.
Yeah, Heavy, I've got to kind of disagree with you there. I think he has been so obstinate. And then that's what his donators want. The people who give him money want him to be completely obstinate in fact that he's never giving an inch. Like, I think he screwed up. And I think that's why you and I can't download a stupid video right now. I think
I'm downloading it.
Oh, are you? Yay.
Yeah, you're talking about the one that's about an hour and something long. It was posted an hour or so ago.
Which video is that? You mean his streaming?
His version of it, where you can see his smiling face through the whole thing. At least up until a few minutes ago, I was blocked from downloading it. So,
well, I wonder how many hits.
He had like 1,700 views, something like that.
1,700. I got 300.
Well, he has 65,000 followers.
I know.
Speaking of
relatively, you did better.
Speaking of Australia, what kind is a kangaroo?
A kangaroo is a marsupial.
So I guess there was one marsupial kind on the ark that made its way across.
I think marsupials are only from Australia, and maybe New Zealand. I'm not sure. I'm have to check that fact. Maybe.
No, there are marsupials.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We've got possums out here, and we've also got sugar gliders and that kind of stuff, right? Like.
By the way, did he even link to my video or even mention that was hosted on mine? Probably not.
No, he didn't. In fact, he didn't even say, like, he's so dumb, he didn't even say in his description that he was debating King Crocoduck. It's called Dr. Kent Hovind Live Debate. Like, that's the entire title.
Doctor. God, that kills me. It just totally diminishes the whole thing of having a doctorate, you know?
Actually, his Dr. Dino is even worse, in my opinion, because that implies that he has some kind of expertise in dinosaurs.
Wait a minute. Was he doing that video while y'all were actually talking? Was he streaming your stuff?
He was. Yep.
Yeah, no, yeah, he was streaming on his channel, which was fine. Okay. I knew he was, but I mean, he could have at least, put in the, the thing there to link to my channel, right?
If you think he's into promoting anyone else, you
I know. Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm gonna get promoted from KC, so that's fine. KC's doing a video next week, helping to promote smaller channels, including my own.
Oh, cool.
And you should throw your channel in too there.
That would be great, but yeah, that's up to KC.
Yeah, I mean, I can ask him. I'll ask him like later on if he plans to like mention a shout out to your channel too.
That'd be cool.
Because I think your channel's awesome. So.
Well, I tried to watch as long as I could, but up to a point, I'm like, fuck this. I'm gonna go take a crap or something and do something useful. I could not listen to him just for so long. And I start picking up on things. He kept wanting to go back to evolution. Whatever King Crocoduck was talking about, he'd pop up evolution. Or, well, y'all need this billions of years universe for evolution. And he'd make little side comments and stuff. But one thing I was thinking about, and I think King Crocoduck kind of touched on it, but I didn't catch the whole thing. It was something about, well, let's see, if the Earth is only 6,000, the universe is 6,000 years old, Adam and Eve would not have seen any stars at all until, what, 4 or 5 years or something, depending on how close Alpha Proxima was or whatever that's.
Yeah, they would have seen one star after 4 years. Well, no, they would have seen one star at beginning because they would see the sun.
The claim, Ken Hovind, this is how Casey trapped him. So Ken Hovind is like, no. Adam and Eve saw the stars. So that means in the Young Earth model, you're talking at least 2 days have transpired from days 4. 3 days really, and therefore, depending on how far they are away from Adam and Eve, and hence Casey was like, well, okay, let's just propose an X amount of kilometers distance away. If you're going to then, because Ken Hovind was accepting the fact that, yeah, they could be 13.8 billion light years away. So then Casey was like, all right, so therefore they have to be flung out 13.8 billion light years away in a matter of 6,000 years, or within, say, a few days, if you're going to propose that by the time day 7 happens in creation, that they're already 13.8 billion years away. So, but either way, either you're talking 2-3 days or you're talking 6,000 years, you're still going far beyond the speed of light limit, and that just breaks all the physics.
Can you help me with how that would work? Like, let's say that was actually true, and this, like, I don't know the physics well enough. So the star is parked 2 light years away from us, 2 light days away from us, and it gets yanked away. What happens like a couple days later? Like, the light obviously can't keep traveling.
Well, okay.
So would the stars blink, or how would that go?
Okay, so this is how. Now, light takes time to travel, right? So you'll have to what you'll have to do. Propose a distance that would fit within a 2-day range. So now this is the young Earth model. So the young Earth model is saying that the Earth is first in day 1, and then on day 4 you have the creation of the heavenly bodies, which we've known as the galaxies and stars and so on. Now, 2 days or 3 days later, then you have Adam and Eve. And according to Ken Hovind's model, they see the stars the moment they are created. So let's just say it all lines up like literally to the second. You know, like God is working with a stopwatch while he's creating things, and then bang, the moment the 24-hour day is up, then the creation of Adam and Eve takes place, and then bang, the starlight happens to hit their face. So therefore, what you'll have to do, and by the way, Colster, if you can mute yourself.
Oh, sorry.
So what you'll have to do is just times 300,000 kilometers per second into how many seconds there are in 2 days, and you will get the distance required for those stars to be there. And then you take that distance, and then you take into account the multiply effect of 13.8 billion light years away, as the way they are right now, and then therefore you're talking about a factor of over 500 million or trillion in difference. So that's how the young Earth model. That's immediately that was what was going through my mind, and I'm just going, yeah, that is John Hartnett's model in a nutshell, Kent. And I don't know if you've taken it from him and you're not giving him the credit, or interestingly you're thinking the same way he's thinking. It's either the two.
The other thing that drives me bananas
is a strong word here.
He keeps going to textbooks, right? Like I love that Casey nailed him to the wall. It's like, stop talking about textbooks. That's not what the science is done on peer-reviewed papers, not popular articles.
You mean like I fucking love science isn't like the be-all end-all? Because they went to shit, by the way. They used to be pretty good.
Yeah, it's true. I haven't even seen them shared much recently.
Yeah, they got bought out. She left. I don't know. It's just a lot of shit that happened.
Well, see, I don't understand why the young Earth Christians just don't say, okay, well, on day 1, when God created the heavens or whatever, he just put, he put everything out 13.8 billion light years, all the way across the universe, and he put all the light in transit.
Yeah. That seems like a much easier explanation than
to me. That's the easy. I mean, if it all came out of nothing, I mean, if it all spontaneously appeared out of nothing, like a genie in a lamp, right? I mean, you might as well go that route and say, well, yeah, I mean, all that starlight was just in transit, right? The second it was created.
But then you will run into the problem that God comes off as a liar, kind of. He's trying to trick us. That might be a problem. Maybe.
But not only was the light created in transit, it was created in transit to look like it had passed through things.
Yeah. Like you end up with like having to make the assumption that God kind of wanted to trick us, which is I don't think that would fit too well into at least into Kent's theology.
Okay, just quickly, guys. So in the side chat, I put how light, the distance light travels in 1 day. So you're talking
in metric,
basically 26 billion kilometers. So you're talking about a sun, let's just say, that is at minimum 26 billion kilometers in day 4, for then 2 days later, for then that light to then reach Adam's eyes on day 6. And then that sun has to be flung out for the next 6,000 years to the position of 13.8 billion years away.
And then slow down so that it doesn't look like it's going that fast now.
But we'd never see the light.
Yeah.
And that would also affect.
You'd never see the light. Right? Because the light would still have to travel from where it is to us. Wait a minute.
We wouldn't see the new light because.
Well, I was just thinking that, like right now, our bubble, and I think this was mentioned, all we would see is stars within 6,000 light years. And
that would be the maximum, because
that's all we would see. And then we wouldn't even know about the galaxy. Except maybe for some odd little hints. The galaxy is what, 100,000 light years in diameter. To the core, so to the core would be, for us it would be less than 50,000 years. But, we wouldn't even see the center of the galaxy right
now. Yeah. We are in one of the we are in the outer reaches of one of the spiral arms.
Orion's arm, I think they call it.
Yeah, I think that's
unless you're Von Helton, and then you could be on one of the be on the Sagittarius arm one morning, and then Orion the next morning.
Von Helton is in Andromeda. He's not on this Earth. He's not in this galaxy.
He's definitely not on this planet.
I kind of feel that, going down the road of, okay, well, it would be dishonest for God to put the light in transit and make it seem like the universe is old. Well, it's just as dishonest if God basically bends all the rules of physics and all the constants that we know keep the universe cohesive, right? In order to make this a possibility. I mean, that's also dishonest because...
But it seems less deliberate, I guess.
Well, yeah, but I mean, his shtick has always been, hey, look, science, science, science. And then in here, he gives a non-falsifiable, non-validatable, non-testable, testable thing. I'm just appalled that he got away with it a little bit. I think Casey kind of should have nailed him on it, because I put in the group chat here, hey, come on, that's not even something that's testable, and they kind of let it pass. But
I think it's because Casey basically backed him into a corner.
Well, yeah, a couple of them actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might even say he was in a box with all those corners.
Yeah, Jade said
small box.
Oh, sorry, Micro. I thought you was done.
Sorry. No problem.
Anyway, Jade, we were talking about stuff like this before. Like, if the universe was created with the look of age, Jade was saying something about she could not believe that God would do that to us. Because surely he would know science, and we would learn science and stuff, and we would see the evidences that we see. She's like, no, I don't believe in a trickster God. And that makes a lot of sense, because, like I say, if there really was a God and he really created the universe, and we would see the evidence of how old it is. So Jay went, no, it's that old. It doesn't appear that old. It is that old. He's not going to just out and lie, basically lie to us. And I think you brought that up a little earlier.
Yeah, it's very true, Heavy. I mean, we very much could have all radiometric dating of rocks be 5,000 years. Like, why not? Like that would make total sense under a young Earth model of God wanting to reveal himself.
Yeah, and they're going down that road, then there should have been no nested hierarchy of form. There should be no kind of nothing in the DNA that makes us think there's any kind of hierarchy, right? Like, they could have made every animal so totally unique that there's absolutely no question that
every animal was uniquely designed, right?
You could have given every animal.
God.
Sorry.
If he's a trickster god, then
Yeah, if you can't trust him about the nature, what? but there's other things too, like there's ERVs. There's evidence right there. Was that just inserted into DNA? You know, because we share certain ERVs with like chimpanzees, but not with orangutans or something like that.
No, we don't. I don't think we share 98% of ERVs.
no, of our DNA.
Yeah, that's DNA as a whole.
No, I was talking about the
No, not you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, and Hovind obviously wanted to talk about biology, which was, you know, something that Casey didn't really want to get into. I don't blame him. But he still parroted the same old shit that he always parrots, and it's just like it's so cringeworthy anymore. It's like, dude, come on, you're so fractally wrong on everything you're saying. I mean, yeah, we all make boo-boos. I certainly do, but for God's sake, I mean, the things he says are just obscenely wrong.
Yeah, one thing I caught was, all right, King Crocoduck was, you know, educating him and taking him by the hand. Okay, Kent, let me show you this. Here's step 1, 2, 3. And then Kent goes, yeah, you're right. Basically, he was agreeing. But then he says, but you're wrong, or you don't get it. You know, it's like he steps up to the line. He gets his big toe about a millimeter from it, and that's as far as he's going to go. And then he'll come up with some bullshit to back away.
Wait. He's using the fact that you can accurately represent a round object on a flat map to. Wait, he's saying that even, like, if I go on Google Earth right now, and they have made South America smaller.
No, Google Earth has destroyed this argument for him. He didn't. Now that Google Earth is a thing, he stopped arguing this point. But you're absolutely right. He used to take that used to be one of his big presentation points, and it's still on the DVD he sells. That he thinks conspiracy theorists shrunk some of the continents 20%. You're absolutely right. But Google Earth, since getting out of prison, people have been trying to replicate it, like his followers replicate it on Google Earth, and they can't anymore. So he's shut up about it.
Well, before satellites and stuff, didn't cartographers pretty much have the continents pretty much laid out on world maps and stuff before satellites were taking pictures of it?
Yeah, but this is a guy who uses grade 5 textbooks, 5th grade textbooks. As his example. So I mean, that's what he held up even today with KC. Well, I have a textbook here that says X. So the accuracy of a map in a high school textbook is not going to be good enough for him to do his cut and paste cartography.
Well, they use all these things that the average person may not understand to try to confuse people. That's all it is. It's a shell game. They don't want you seeing what one hand's doing. They say look over here because they want to focus your attention away from the fact that the young Earth creationists, flat earthers get creamed when it comes to the actual science. When it comes to the actual physics and math, they get annihilated. They get utterly fucking annihilated. And I think that they have to use these techniques to try to confuse people and say, oh, well, this, and this. I mean, not long ago, me and Seth were in this Flat Earth hangout. And do you guys remember the thing where Flat Earth were saying, oh, here's 3 different things of the Earth, and look here on one picture, the Africa's this big, and on this picture, Africa's this big, and it's basically all it is they're as they move the camera away from a different further away, to keep the same proportionality, to keep the same diameter, it's going to appear differently. The closer you get to the Earth or a sphere, the objects are going to appear larger on them. The continents appear larger. This is a notable effect that we know. Yeah, and they couldn't grasp this, and they're like, "Oh, that's 3 different globes." In the experiment, they're showing, "Hey, no, this is what happens."
Oh, I think that was the day that you went on You've Been Exposed with me.
Yes, yeah, that was You've Been Exposed.
And do you remember I got my daughter's her little Disney ball, and I was showing the same effect on my webcam with the size of the characters on the ball by bringing
they don't understand it. Do it
and further.
They have to confuse people by saying, "Oh, it's some conspiratorial bullshit," rather than saying, "Oh, you know what? We're just too dumb to understand this," because they are.
Well, they could point at maps and make the same claim. Depending on the type of map, the continents do look different sizes. You know, you can have Africa
pass out some mods so people can get broadcast.
Greenland could be monstrous, you know, up at the top because of the projection type of the map. And I know I'm saying this badly. You know, like Mercator projections and different other kinds of projections. Yes, and on these different projections, that map makers use, continents can appear different, you know, the wrong size because of the projection.
Is there any chance that the flat earthers are going to turn Kent over to the dark side?
You know what? Nothing surprises me anymore, man. It really doesn't. I mean, Eve Real, you know, she became a flat earther, so I mean, it does happen. People are seduced by stupidity, I guess.
He became an anti-vaxxer because of the wife he married, so that happened. And then, you know, if he realizes how much money is in flat Earth, he probably would.
Except that he would have to do a lot of backtracking to explain it.
Is there really so much? Is there really so much money though? I mean, compared to Christian dogma, I mean.
No, but if you can have both,
I don't think he could manage that.
It's funny.
He also started buying into Laetrile, so.
If he does buy into flat Earth, then that solves the whole distant starlight problem because stars are just little dots in the sky.
True, they're just hanging a few thousand miles away, right?
No,
I mean,
yeah, like the same level.
Can I repeat what was discussed between me and Nestlake? I think Nestlake just
go for it.
Blew it out of the water.
Go nuts.
While you guys were discussing, I said 1 light day is 26 billion kilometers. So 2 light days would be roughly, 52 billion kilometers. Then Nestlake said, that is still within the solar system. So all stars in the universe would be within the solar system at the moment of the creation of Adam and Eve. So then I tried to look for some comparative distances, and Pluto is 7.5 billion kilometers away. So that means you're talking roughly times the distance of Pluto to the first star that God creates, that then 2 days later would then appear to Adam and Eve. So then Nestlake said, yes, and what would happen if a star like Betelgeuse was at that distance, just 1 star? But Nestlake said this though, which I think that this would be the type of evidence that Ken Hovind is looking for, and this is why I'm saying it's a really good refutation. So Nestlake said that is just 1 star. All the stars in the entire universe would not fit with a space with a radius of 2 light days. And that is all you need to say. So apart from all the other stuff, Kent knows that you're talking about all that we see. I mean, if you look at the Hubble Deep Field and so on, that would not fit within a 2 light day radius.
Generally,
and so therefore, your Ken Hovind argument, your argument is over. That's
no. We've solved this problem once already. There's different kinds of stars. We only needed certain kinds of stars in the Earth. And then the rest of the stars, the rest of the stars just multiplied as they expanded.
We took the baby stars.
One second. You very well know that Ken Hovind has constantly said, all we see are stars blowing up. We've never seen stars being created. So therefore,
right. well, when he first said that probably was true.
One second. So therefore, what we do see right now, which means if you go 6,000 years back, that means there were more stars at the start than today, and therefore what we see today cannot fit the 2 light day radius. So how much more than the initial creation. So, in Ken Hovind's own words, he's just refuted himself.
That's awesome.
How could it take like 7 days to create, like, let's just say our basic solar system, and yet we can take out a telescope, look at the Orion Nebula, and we can see these little accretion disks dotted around, these little new solar systems, and they're not taking a week to create. It's like a snapshot. One human lifetime is like a snapshot for them. So why is it taking so long for them to be made? Then again,
God didn't really care.
Yeah,
like he already he spent most of his time creating his special one ball of dirt, and then decided to not just let the rest run its course. He outsourced it to nature.
No. But like he's created like all these stars already, like sextillions and sextillions of stars. So what these are like only a few in a nebula. I mean, there are obviously others and a lot more nebulas out there, but like these little ones in nebulas, couldn't he clean that up just so that it gives us the illusion? Oh wait, that would be deceptive. Never mind, forget it.
Steve, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, my mic is finally working. You see, Cal, the stars you're seeing out in the Orion Nebula, those are free-range stars.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
They're not GMO. They're gluten-free.
Organic,
yes. So that's why it takes them so long to form.
Non-dairy.
Yeah. Non-dairy. Thanks, Micro.
So I'm watching the Kent Hovind stream of this thing. It was silent, but I was watching.
Yeah.
First of all, his shirt is awful. It's this Hawaiian orange shirt.
Oh yeah.
Hey, when you had to wear an orange jumpsuit for how many years?
I guess
you finally get to choose your own clothes. You kind of go have some fun with it.
But he's got slides up while he's talking, which is very interesting. So the slide he has up right now says that light can be slowed down by cooling it.
Yeah, see, why didn't he have these slides playing in the Hangouts so we could see them? Because we could have addressed them, right?
No, he totally just has them playing for his audience, and so according to him,
not a broadcast.
So light can be slowed down. Yes, light can be stopped. What the fuck does that have to do with anything?
So, but this is allegedly, the light slowed down to 38 miles per hour. But of course, what we need is for it to speed up far.
Yeah, more. I don't understand that. Yes, we've slowed light down. Yes, okay. You know what he thinks is, and I don't know if he's just completely a dumb fuck or he does this on purpose. At this point, I don't know. I really don't anymore. I think he's deliberately stupid. But he thinks that because we can slow light down, that means the light speed changes. He doesn't realize that c, the constant c, has not changed. Right? That's still a constant of the universe.
Hence the name constant.
That's the name constant.
Right.
Okay?
So in other words, you could slow it down. You just can't make it go faster.
Yeah, but
it's already as fast.
The speed of light in a vacuum is a constant. That they cannot change. The speed of light in a vacuum, they cannot slow down. They can't change anything like that. They can't make light go 38 miles per hour in a vacuum. They have to actually put in a crystalline structure to make it slow down. Right? It's a crystalline lattice or something that they do.
He must think that speed of light is
rocks in its way.
The fact that it's a constant is why I think that the distant starlight problem is, I would put it in like one of the worst problems for young Earth creationists. One of the worst, if not the worst. It is constant. You cannot change it. There's no goalpost moving. You cannot do anything about it. It demolishes young Earth creationism.
And
it's
the whole
over. Sorry?
Yeah, and the whole thing that they're speeding up light 300 times and so on. What they're actually doing is speeding up the pulse. So when you look at the waveform, you will always see the leading edge. So light in a vacuum, its leading edge is in a certain position. Light that's apparently going 300 times the speed, guess what? The leading edge is still in exactly the same position as light in a vacuum. The only difference is the wavelength is changing in that sense.
I was watching. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was watching I was with on Sidetrack last week, and Dr. Jason Lyle was trying to measure the speed of light with his fucking wristwatch to fix the distant starlight problem, and he claimed that if you take a laser beam and bounce it off a mirror, the way there is a different speed on the way back somehow. And apparently it has to balance out to C to 300,000 kilometers per second between the two things. So if you take a laser pointer, point it at a mirror and it bounces off, apparently the first laser is like, I can't remember if it was faster and slower, but one of them is faster and slower than the one coming back, than the one coming back. So one of them is faster and slower, I can't remember which one. But he tried to show that light can apparently change its, I'm going this way, so I can change my speed now. I'm not sure how that works, but Dr. Jason Lyle is not an astrophysicist. He's not. He's a loon. But he tried to fix the distance starlight problem by saying that light is apparently instant across the universe, which it is not. We can use atomic clocks to determine the speed of light is 299,792.458 kilometers per second. It is not instant. It really isn't. It's fast. But it's a snail's pace to the scale of the universe. It is not instant though. I'll give you that.
Also, this is to Paul and Steve as well in regards to Neslick. Why would the stars that are 50 billion light years, 50 billion kilometers away, why would the sun remain where it is? And where in the positioning of within the solar system is, okay, now these particular stars in this radius, I'm going to fling them out, but leave the stuff closer to Earth just the way it is.
Well, when Kent was asking how big the universe is, I had to assume that he's Sol-centric. Like, he must assume that we are right in the middle. Somehow.
I don't think he understands that every place is right in the middle.
No, I don't think he does either. But
yeah, because he said along the lines of, what is it moving into? Well, that shows he doesn't understand, because it's not really moving anything, at least not in a third dimension space, right? Sure, if you want to get up to the fifth dimension kind of shit, then yeah, it's moving into something. But from our perspective, that it's not moving into anything, and so
there's just more of it.
Yeah, this is more space, right? Space creating itself, and this whole nihilistic approach of, if you can't explain everything, therefore you don't know anything. That's borderlining presupping, right? Well, you can't explain where the energy comes from. It doesn't matter. That is something that is contingent after we see the observation first. We see everything moving around. Then we want to explain it. Okay, there's energy coming from somewhere. Okay, there's mass being created at some point from some kind of Higgs field or something. How that exactly happens, who the fuck knows? But we know that we have mass now. We know that we see certain things. We know we see things moving away. So we hypothesize shit to explain it. Like they hypothesize dark matter, because dark matter explains the fact that we have more gravity affecting things than what should have due to mass, right? So there has to be some other form of mass that we're not seeing affecting it.
Well,
that's not uncommon in science, though. That's how they found a neutrino. They hypothesized it first.
Well, it's the same argument. Like, we can't explain abiogenesis, exactly how it happened. So evolution, whatever you say about evolution is wrong, because you can't explain abiogenesis.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you could still have supernatural abiogenesis and still have evolution. They're mutually exclusive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you have to accept the fact that whatever got created in the abiogenesis is allowed to evolve.
Right.
But that's actually an interesting part of the stupid Is Genesis History thing that's on Netflix now, is that's exactly what they propose, is that God had planned out, had pre-planned all the evolution so that every mutation was beneficial in the first 100 years after Noah. So there were just all beneficial mutations.
Oh, we're going that way.
So there are people who totally go with that model.
So they're okay with evolution as long as it works.
Yeah, but then what about all those mutations that made viruses and diseases? And
they were planned.
No, those are the post-fall bad ones.
The genetic disorders in human beings and all that stuff, right?
Those weren't the planned ones.
Okay, then if everything was planned after the flood to repopulate everything, then how do you explain the same bad ones that happen now?
Well, those are the continued, those.
Or are those more planned ones? Because
if Adam hadn't eaten that apple, then none of those things would have happened.
No, that's pre-flood.
No,
that's
but
after the fall.
No, but
you're saying Noah's family, like
after Noah, after the ark.
Yeah, like what kind of genetic predispositions to like bad genetics did Noah's family have? Essentially, is what you're asking.
Yeah. See, then why do bad mutations still happen after Noah, or at least after this 100-year period when he had to when everything has to be repopulated, or is that there because God likes to be a dick and fuck with people?
Oh no, and that's partially why but part of their model, there were so many more species, that we are finding, Cambrian or whatever, right? Those don't exist anymore. Those were the perfect ones, and what we're left with is the dregs.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, that whole flood model that they propose is just so anti-scriptural and anti-science. It's just not funny.
Well, it's fun because they had figured out that that Abraham and people had camels, and some of the modern kinds, some of the modern animals, were clearly in existence shortly after the flood. So they have to do hyper evolution to get from 5,000 created kinds to all the modern species in a couple 100 years. So apparently gestation rates were down to weeks or something. I don't know.
Oh dear. I don't know if you've seen my flood notes, Paul, but I've used a 2016 paper very late. Well, we're in the Holocene right now, but near the end of the Pleistocene, start of the Holocene, where this guy started looking at the fauna of Arabia around 20,000 years ago, and it fits the list in Job 38:39, because Job 38:39 is about the creation and the types of animals that interact with humans in a particular location, and it lists 10, which, when we look at ancient Jewish texts like, say, Enoch, even though it's non-canon, but it commentates on the Genesis flood, it mentions exactly the same species Job mentions, which is the donkey, the ox, what else there? There's a donkey, ox, deer, and elephant, and those species are apparently on the ark, and that's it, nothing more than that. Whereas in the Young Earth model, you have a range from the really small to the really, like, pretty much a dinosaur. And so therefore it just collapses after that point.
It does.
As if any part of the Genesis story doesn't collapse on first sight.
Well, the Young Earth's interpretation is what completely collapses. But when you actually look at it through an intellectual, rigorous analysis, like what I've done, and many people have actually done, but their voice is not heard because I guess they're introverts like myself. It's actually a very interesting fit. The problem is Young Earth creationists have the bigger voice, and they have more funding, and they just they just get this material out there, and unfortunately it looks like it's the main interpretation.
Well, I follow on Twitter. I literally have a search column up all 24/7 that, like, anyone who mentions the Is Genesis History movie, I have on Twitter. I see that, and I'm very heartened now that it's on Netflix to see Christians upset about it.
Yeah, I saw you played Jeff Zwerink as the opening of your.
I do.
Of your yeah,
because I think that's more effective. Right?
Yeah, I picked up on that. Yeah, sorry.
I think that's just more effective when I use Christian voices to refute.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't think anyone knows that's a Jeff Zwerink. But
well,
when I was like, oh, that's just
no. But in part one of my parts, I actually I let Jeff talk a little longer.
Do you guys know, is Joel Osteen a Young Earth creationist? The famous televangelist?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think
I
so.
think so. Could be.
Did you watch his broadcast on Sunday? And it's impressive the stadium he fills on the weekend. I mean, this thing is like the old school, WWF era where they're just this far, people as far as the eye can see. It's amazing.
They're holograms. Stadium's only half full.
So you mean to say Joel Osteen is a Gorillaz? The music team Gorillaz back in like the early 2000s.
They have a new album. Come on.
Yeah, didn't on this in their studio performances? Didn't they have like holographic performances and so on?
I'm not sure.
They had a stage show one time where they did that kind of holographic looking thing with the 3D animated characters, and plus the oh gosh, there were two rap singers that was with them on stage as well.
Right.
It was all pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty neat.
So, Steve, this totally threw a wrench in your day, I'm guessing.
No, yeah, but not a bad way, right? It was a nice surprise.
All of a sudden, someone drops a big debate on your lap. That's not so bad.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks he was simulcasting it too, because all those people watching it on his channel, which is okay. I mean, that's to be expected. But I mean, I would have thought that they at least would have like linked it to me. I did make a comment over there, and it's getting liked, and so.
Well, you should make sure that your keyword tags are the same as his, so that it at least puts it as a related video when people watch his.
Well, he doesn't have Casey in his name. That's fucking. That's silly.
No, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'll look at the I'll look at his keywords there in a second. Oh, you guys all have mods, by the way. All these people are sitting here. I'm tabbed out. You all have mods. You can show people in broadcast. I gave everybody mods.
Ooh.
All right, let's sword fight.
Yeah, last man standing. Begin.
Yep, pseudo has mods. Be careful. My mods are better than your mods.
Yeah, I know. I got 345 views on that debate. No, 461. That's not too bad. It'll pick up over time. I think it'll get more than his eventually, only because.
You know what I like about?
I think it'll do well on YouTube, though.
You know what I like about that debate that just happened? About 80% or 90% of the debates Ken Hovind has had, like when you see them on YouTube, the debate opponents, unfortunately, are not clear. Especially, I can see Casey as a very good educator of science. Like he could really, if he was to go into a classroom, I would, if I was like a board member recommending teachers and so on, I would recommend him as a teacher. There's only one other guy that I really liked who debated Kent. I forgot his name, but maybe Paul can remember. Remember, he was bordering on deism, but he proposed that if evolution is the case, that God worked the way He created, it would actually denote Him to be a fantastic creator. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't remember that one. No.
Have you guys heard that debate? Where he was like a Swedish PhD student, an American. I think he sounded like he was American, but he was in Sweden, and he called into a radio show that Kent was on, and they had a debate, and he nailed him pretty good about explaining, nested hierarchy and things like that. Did you guys ever hear that debate? It's one of my favorite ones.
It was a radio show, right?
It was a radio show that he called in. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah.
I thought that he did a great job debating Kent.
General, is your debate that you and Wayne did with him, is that online somewhere? Because I don't think.
Yeah, that's online. So I've debated Kent the first time on Wayne's channel. I don't know if you saw that one.
I haven't. No, I didn't check it out.
Which that was like a dream come true for me, because it's just one of those. Are you kidding me? I get to debate Ken Hovind.
Well, you know what's cool now? He's going to be doing it again next week or the week after, and I can debate him anytime I want now at this point. I mean, I've already just talked to him, but
Yeah,
you know I could now.
Then I love the ending of that bit, because apparently we were meant to debate 1 hour, but he had to go within what, 20 minutes, and then he started saying something like, "Oh, we're going down a hill and I'm losing connection."
Oh yeah.
But,
I was talking to him on the phone, right, and you guys were talking, and that's what I mentioned earlier. I said I didn't want him like getting in a car accident, right? Yeah, he's like, I'm losing connection because I'm going down a hill here. I'm like, it's wait a minute. People don't lose connection anymore with cell phones. You kind of just drop. You don't really get that statically anymore like you used to get, you know.
He's like, shh.
Then
I posted that debate in the side chat there if anyone wants to hear it. It's actually really good.
Which one? My first one?
No, the radio show, the one where the guy called it the radio show, the debate.
Oh, okay, right. Was with Fiona, actually. I think you of us were on it. It was like a full panel, and in that one I was. In fact, if you see that second one, you can see Ken smirk, and that gives it away, because when it came time for me to talk, when you look at the Genesis creation account, either you're an ancient Near Eastern cosmologist, meaning you have very primitive flat Earth idea of the world, or you're a concordist like myself, appealing to Big Bang and so on. Therefore, the young Earth interpretation is nowhere to be found anywhere, like whether in ancient Near East or in regards to modern science. That smirk appearing on his face, and he completely avoided what I stated. Like he went into in a tangent. And then I think the third one was and myself teamed up to debate Kent and a guy named Peter. And so it is public now. Peter has since become he's left Young Creationism, and it was because of the debate.
Oh wait, Peter. Wait, you had somebody leave Young Creationism?
Yeah, Peter, that 18-year-old kid that was with Kent, he teamed up with him.
Yeah, I remember him. He left Young Creationism?
Yeah.
When did this happen?
Probably a week or two ago. I thought you knew.
Holy crap! No, I didn't know. I know who he is. Holy cow! I mean, people are leaving Hovind in droves, man.
Yeah.
What was that? There was an argument I heard pretty recently from the Young Earth creationists, and it was about how the recession of the moon, as it goes further away from us, it should be like inside the Earth 1.5 billion years ago. But apparently, that's completely false. If you assume that the speed of the moon is constant or going away from the Earth, let's just like a few centimeters every year or something, you can find that the absolute worst it would be like 10 billion years or something. So
well, it doesn't recede at the same rate. Plus, there's a thing called tidal forces.
It's not constant, but
yeah, it's called a Roche limit, and the Roche limit they would never get to the point where it would be even half to the distance to the Earth. And so yeah, they're again, these guys don't actually look at science. They just don't.
They make shit up. They make shit up based on actual facts, like the recession of the moon, and then they just make an assertion like, oh, it's too slow, it's too fast, it has to slow down if the universe is old.
Well, they do what flat earthers do. They prey on people's ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I started to say, like these congregations and people that he preaches to, they're not going to fact check him. They don't know all of this stuff.
Well, before they couldn't, right?
Hold on,
before he went to jail, before he went to jail, he couldn't. People couldn't fact check him, right? They didn't have the resources we have now. Now we can have resources to check every one of his claims. In fact, I will go through his video later on and look at his slides, and we'll have a hangout just on that in the next couple of days.
What I was going to say there to Cal is, Cal, did you hear what he said when Kent mentioned the Doppler effect?
I don't think I did, no.
That was so bad.
He basically stated that you're fully aware of what that is, aren't you? He mentions the Doppler effect, doesn't call you stupid, but basically throws it out to you that You know what the Doppler effect is, and I don't have to explain it to you.
Oh my God.
And then, since of course you don't, now he goes on and explains his version of how the Doppler effect works in this scenario. And you don't want to look stupid, so you basically sit there and accept what he says now because you don't know how the Doppler effect works.
For God's sake.
And if you listen,
when he said the Doppler
to him
effect
talk,
changed speed, that was obscene.
right? But if you listen to him talk all the time, that kind of flipping of ignorance, he does it all the time.
Wait, did he actually mention that?
Yeah, he did.
Like, I just want to be precise that he said that the Doppler effect changes speed.
Oh, yeah, I think he did, Steve. That's what he was going with.
Yeah, when I was watching,
What's
I caught him doing that a lot. He would change things, or he would ask questions, and then King Crocoduck would try to explain it to him, and then sometime later he'd mention this, that, and the other thing. Then he'd come right back to that other thing.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to moderate too much. I mean, I wanted them to really kind of go back. I mean, I only had a few minutes to really know what was going on, so I didn't know what they were looking for, and I didn't want to get involved in the actual discussion itself. Lord knows I could have, but I think King Crocoduck handled it quite well.
Oh yeah, yeah, because Kent was trying to trip him up on stuff by repeating things or then misrepresenting them and then asking again, and King Crocoduck was like you said, he was on top of his game. You know, he was very focused, which is great.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that King Crocoduck said that you know, scientific terms that would have just gone way over Kent's head. I actually don't think Kent. I reckon he could only follow maybe 30% of what he says. Otherwise, the other 70 just went over his head.
Oh yeah, no. Even
still, I genuinely think that.
Well, yeah, no. Even if he's dense, he still would have been no way able to understand what Casey was saying. I mean, which was kind of surprising to me because he writes books, you know, these creationist handbooks. He talks about physics, and yet he was like, this is like the first time he's ever heard any of this stuff.
Yeah, but Steve, in Kent's dissertation, the only physics he ever mentioned is a photoscan of the electromagnetic spectrum. That's it. There's not, like, he doesn't even go through, say, Maxwell's equations, how they derive. Even in a dissertation, when you make an argument and then you follow through into your original research, like you mean to tell me that even basic algebra he could get wrong like that?
Would appear so. Well, his opening statement was the same statement he says for every debate. It's like we could just skip that part. That was this long diagram of nothing.
Yeah. Did it start with "Hello, my name is Ken Hovind"?
Noticed that.
Yeah.
And Steve,
he brought up the duck. He brought up everything. All the usual. Everyone in the comments section nailed it too. They called it before he even said it.
Something I'd like to state I didn't get a chance to state earlier. When you have spent all that time, like Ken Hovind has, putting together this dissertation, and you spent long evenings with a roll of Scotch tape, taping things to a page, okay, you're pretty much hard set, and you have to back this up no matter how much loony crap you put into it. You can't walk away from it now. You'll never give it up.
At least he was open to the fact that when he was appealing to space.com, and apparently dated to 2006, that he was open to the fact that that's like a media site rather than a peer-reviewed journal. So at least he's honest enough in that regard. But that is minor compared to the other mistakes he's made.
Yeah, like stating that you've taught high school science for many, many years.
He's been called out of that before.
I know. No, he got called out during his court trial. Then he had to admit, no, actually what I did was I tutored kids in church community rooms.
Boy, it's raining fast over here. Jeez.
Yeah, we had
I could hear Mary, his wife, sitting with him because she actually laughed out loud. I don't know if you know
Wait,
that.
first wife or second wife?
Second.
So Kent
Obviously
Hovind is
not the
okay.
first.
So Kent Hovind is okay with divorce.
Well,
And
he
remarriage.
said he sought counsel. He talked to the Christian elders, and they said it was all okay. Which, of course, would you expect him to say anything else? What is he going to say? Oh yeah, I was told that I'm going to hell if I divorce. No, of course, he makes shit up. That's why I don't think he even believes half this shit anymore. I really don't think he does. I think he's just playing along.
No, I
don't think he even
does,
believes
but
anymore. I don't even know.
I think he does.
I really doubt it. I really doubt it. Either that he's a Pharisee or whatever the hell.
Well,
and how would you know
there such a thing?
He doesn't though.
Is there such a thing in psychology? Like, if you were to lie long enough that you start to believe your own lies and you don't realize you're lying?
Self-deception.
So what if I mean, think about it. 60 years later, like this is just a fruit of exactly that.
Yeah, but I wonder if he ever talks to anybody like in private, going, "Yeah, I can't believe if I buy into this bullshit."
Well,
God, that'd be awesome.
No, but I understand your reaction on that, see, because just 2-3 weeks of education, say basic science education, where you can see the simple math work, you can see the observations and experimental evidence, just for you to go, yeah, this is undeniable. I understand your reaction. Like, I understand because you're speaking from the hindsight of an education. He's not. Ken is not educated at all.
No, not at all.
So
he's
to him,
educated.
I think he's just completely self-educated in the interpretation of the Genesis account, and just takes that as like the equivalent of God himself speaking to Ken, saying this is the way things are, and
he makes it sound like everybody else can't get it right. But he makes it sound like everybody else is stupid. Like, oh, I can't believe you guys believe this shit. It's like, well, this is math. This is reality. This is math and physics. This isn't something we just think is right because it feels good to think so. It's demonstrable. And then he has the audacity to say, oh, well, I love science. No, you don't. No, you don't, because you have to give up every single branch of science on the planet to accept your narrative.
Right. What my desire is to see these guys just accept science for the way it is. It is not anti-God. It's not anti-Bible.
Not in any way ever. I've tried to I've tried to tell people that science is not about disproving God or disproving God, because that's not really what science is about. Science is about finding reality, and if God is the answer to how this stuff came, then so be it. But then at the end of the day, that's really just going to come down to the personal opinions of the scientist. But then again, there may be an experiment in the future somehow that we can prove or disprove God's existence. I'm not saying that may come or never happen. That may happen, may never happen. I'm not saying that. But of course, for now, it's just about figuring out how things work.
Yeah. And with the sciences I've studied, I mean, I can understand that for some people at least, there may be a harmonious relation between like science and religion. I just haven't seen that yet, or I don't understand the bridge between the two, really. I'm willing to, see it though, if people can explain it to me.
Well, there's words like Fiona, Jade, General. They're Christians, but they accept science, and they look at it as like what they see. The discoveries in science, it just kind of like shows God's handiwork even more. I may be wording that badly, but it's like the big thing is you got these people taking the first couple of chapters in Genesis as actual, factual, literally true, and that's the problem.
Yeah. Heavy puts it. Yeah, Heavy has a right point. Like James Clerk Maxwell. He was a Presbyterian Christian, very staunch. When you look at his paper that he wrote to Faraday with respect to the math describing light, you won't see you won't see the first chapter of John in that paper, because John mentions Jesus being the light of the world and so on. Only in his devotions will he then take the time to, his like turn up the science side of his brain and then turn on the religious side, and where he just goes into a devotional about the light of the world and this and that. There's no contradiction. I don't see how there should be a quote unquote like a dislike or a fear to step into that realm, because apparently, is it true that the young Earth creationists think that, say, evolution, Big Bang, and so on, that's part of the evil, hating society of atheists that hate God, and so this is the ideas that they propose, and like I'm wondering if that's their mentality.
Yeah, no, it is.
It is.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, I deal with them all the freaking time. Of course, it is. I mean, they'll tell you straight up. I'll be like, "Well, I'm not an atheist." Well, you're an atheist. You're a Satanist. Blah blah. And half of them, I think, are just mental. Just mental. So it's hard to take any of them serious. I mean, look at like that guy Jesus Saves. I messaged him like this morning and stuff. That guy's just fucking nuts, right? I mean, he's a flat earther, young earther, arrogant, idiotic moron. And I think most of them are like that in some ways.
Well, and I mean, that's kind of the issue, too, is that we don't hear enough of the smart people that really do know what they're talking about, like General Han Solo, for instance. We hear a lot of the idiots that just kind of dive straight into it, and then we just kind of kick them out of the water really easily.
The problem is, though, is that... Oh, no, sorry, never mind.
Well, it's hard. These guys are hard to engage with because I think they're just so on the fringe that I just don't even waste my time with them. It's just I think they're just delusional, and I don't deal well with insane people. I never have. Yeah, I understand people have mental issues, but my God, that's when you are a rabid flat earther, mental disorders. There should be an actual name for that. I think. What the hell they can call that? Flatism.
And you could call it just straight up arrogance. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Here, like this guy just wrote this message on a thing that I wrote. He didn't write it to me, but it was on a comment thread. It said, "It's Satan, the real enemy, sowing discord among brethren. They are both right and wrong." He's talking about Ken Hovind and Theodore. It's like, it's Satan that's the real enemy. Come on. No,
hey, Steve.
Yeah.
Here's something these people never actually realize. What if the people espousing the flat earth and the young earth creationism are actually those who are misleading you away from your biblical truth?
Oh, there's people that suggested that. That's a conspiracy theory out there.
And that those are the true ones you should be turning your back on. But no. People keep throwing money at Ken Hovind.
That's all he's doing this for.
Yeah.
He needs more suckers.
Yeah. Which is one reason why he won't go flat earth. I've said it before. If you go into a church community room and you manage to get 10% of the people there to believe you, and the other 90% get up and walk away, if you go flat earth, another 90% will get up and walk out on you. And you're not going to make any money.
There's a principle like that.
Yeah.
There's like the Nigerian scammers.
Yeah.
They're so outlandish that they're looking for the people that only buy into outlandish shit. They don't want false positives. They want
but
1% of 1% that is too stupid to realize it. So
it can be outlandish, but there's a point where you have to get off the crazy train. Otherwise, you don't get enough return.
Yeah, well, I think that train has left the station with the whole anti-vaxxer shit. So
right. Like I was saying with the church community room, you got 100 people here. 90% gets up and walks out. That leaves you with 10. If you do it again, you've got one left, and where's your money? Where if you stuck around and just kept those 10 per 100, you'd be able to get some money out of this.
Just quickly, a person in the outside chat, a friend of mine, he says, which by the way, he's sitting on the fence. He told me he was the young creationist, but he's actually saying the other side. A lot of evidences for Big Bang and so on. So he told me, what would you think would happen to the Christian community if they heard that Kant finally accepted that he may have false interpretation of the Bible? And I just simply responded to him that that would actually be a fruitful thing. And so what Suda was just saying, 90% of the people walking out, I think that's fruitful. So if 90%,
I'm not saying that happened with the first meeting in the community room where he puts up his slideshow. 90% of the people go, this is just stupid, and they all get up and leave.
For the ones who stay,
leaving that 10%, they give him the money. Now, if he goes one step further into flat Earth,
I see.
Or this is just lunacy. They leave, leaving him with one person now who believes it.
And if Kant was to ever acknowledge that he could have been wrong, all they would do is say that Satan got to him.
Yeah, he'll spit it, they'll flip it. But obviously he was deceived. And then he'll write a different book, and they'll throw more money at him.
Yeah, I mean, I really wish I could have gotten into that discussion. I had so much I wanted to ask, but next time, or maybe I might just have my own discussion with Kent one of these days, again. But yeah, I think that they would just say, he got satanized. I guess that's a new word, satanized. A person who was convinced that younger creation is bullshit. They were satanized. Go ahead, Paula Gio. You can steal that for your videos. Yeah, satanized. It's a scientific term. Yeah.
By the way, guys, look at Nestleg's photo. He's just comparing Betelgeuse at 50 billion kilometers with the sun from the Earth.
So we would have two suns basically in our system almost.
We probably did at one time.
We'd have a binary star.
The thing I just read said that they think now that all stars are born binary.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that about us.
That's what I just read that the sun probably had a binary star that long since left the solar system a long time ago.
I'm kind of lost on what binary means here. Like two of them, or
two, yeah.
Yeah, they said they think that more models are showing that stars are born binary. That's why we see more binary stars than singulars.
Aren't there a few odd ones out there that are even 3 stars?
Alpha Centauri is a quad system.
Yeah.
And I think it's a gamma something has 4 stars. What the hell? Gamma, what's the name of that freaking star? I can't name it. Oh well, yeah. There's a 4-star that I was Gamma Aquarius, I think it is, or something like that. Mm-hmm. I've seen it before through a telescope, but it was a big telescope.
That's like, what do you want me to explain? Let's see what happens to the Earth's temperature over time. I just okay.
You know what you can explain? You could do a video on pilot wave theory and how the difference between locality and non-locality theories, and how if it does or does not, if a theory is if it's in line with the Bell inequality or not in line with the Bell inequality, that'd be a good video for you.
Well, actually, Steve, I found some recent papers on pilot waves. I think you'll find interesting. It debunks it.
Well, I don't think it's something to be debunked per se. I mean, it's just another way of looking at it. If you lose your locality, but it's deterministic.
Yeah.
And you could say that the entire universe is completely deterministic, and you get rid of a lot of shit when you do that. If you just say everything is absolutely completely deterministic, a lot of these problems with quantum seem to kind of go away. Yeah, I don't want to say that pilot wave is debunked. I mean, I just think it's another way of looking at it from a different perspective.
Just admit your defeat, Steve.
No, there's going to be. Well, TomTom's in the outside going, yeah, what does he mean by that? That's kind of. Yeah, TomTom, I agree with you. He says superdeterminism is kind of like solipsism. QM. Yeah, I know. I can see the correlation there.
What was that guy that mentioned this to you, Steve? Remember he claimed to be in naval school as well.
Sean never mentioned.
Sean,
it.
wasn't it Sean? Yeah.
Sean doesn't
So
know.
that-
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sean mentioned this.
No, he doesn't know. He didn't even know what de Bourgeois where the wavelength is. He has no clue what de Bourgeois did, or Brahm.
Come on, he knows. He taught water something, didn't he?
Yeah, he taught water chemistry. Didn't understand how pH actually works. Didn't understand the difference between ion and isotope. Didn't understand the difference between hydronium and hydroxyl or hydroxyl ion.
And that's not even hard stuff, though. That's like basic chemistry 1, chemistry 2 at best.
He thinks that in water is always in a molecular H2O form. He doesn't realize that this dissociation is going on. You're always going to have some dissociation of hydronium and hydroxyl. It's just that the pH means that they're evened out.
Well, it's
right?
just that relative concentration of hydroxyl and hydronium ions that are present in the solution of water is very close to 0. It's not that abundant.
You still have dissociation of the water molecules.
Yeah, I know that. I'm just saying relative to water itself, though, it's very, very low.
Yeah, I don't know what the concentration things are, but it's not all pure water, and there's no such thing as pure water, really. If you look at it to mean that everything in there is molecular water, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I guess purity would be based upon like the relative concentrations of hydronium to hydroxyl.
Right. I mean, if they're an equal concentration, it's neutral pH.
Yeah, exactly. You'd have a pH of exactly 7.
Right. Anyways, guys, I think this is coming to an end. I think we had a cool little after show, but my throat's getting sore and everybody's leaving, and I'm going to take a little nap. I got to go to the store tonight, but I'm going to look over Kent's video tomorrow or later, maybe late tonight. I'm going to look over his slides, and maybe we can have a hangout of that. I want to start making videos again, but I'm trying to figure out another way to do them. And Linux isn't really working for me for that, but it's good for other stuff. So, but anyways, who is going to get the last word? And by the way, I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you, MP, for the super chat earlier. If you're still listening, if you haven't liked the video, go ahead and do that, and subscribe if you already ain't subscribed. Thank you, guys. We're going to be having more things like this. I got other things lining up, and obviously Kent and KC are not done with each other yet, so there will be a part 2, and hopefully maybe after that, I think that maybe we'll get General Han Solo, myself, and I don't know, somebody else. We'll just kind of do what we did before and have like a 3-on-3 with Kent and his crew, so we can get a little more. I don't know. I think that we want to get more.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, you know the direction I want to go, General. I think we can get a little more specific.
We just want to go to the jugular. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, and I think KC, he opened that wound. I think he got to it. I don't think he's bleeding out yet, but I think that the fact that he had to resort to, it disappears that way, that's a huge step. I don't think you guys realize how big of a step that was, because that destroys his entire creationist science model, because he's always said that science shows this to be the case. And now he's saying, well, now I have an unfalsifiable, untestable hypothesis because I have to explain it away because the science is against what I'm saying. So I hope everybody takes away from that exactly that point. Go on his video and explain that to his people, is that he's finally admitted that the science doesn't support a young Earth, and that it only appears that way, which is, well, you know what? It could have been created yesterday, but you know what? You can't demonstrate that, and that's kind of a bullshit way to try to make a scientific model. So, anyways, who gets the last word? General, I'm gonna give you the last word today.
Oh my goodness, what am I supposed to say?
I don't know, make it profound.
Hello, my name is Ken Hovind.